A female is designed by God to receive. And whatever she receives, she incubates, multiplies it, and gives it back to the male. She was built to do that. So whatever you give a woman, she'll receive it, multiply it, and give it back to you. Whatever you give a woman, are you listening, brothers? She'll never give you back what you gave her. She'll multiply it first. She's designed that way. If you give a woman a sperm, you'll never get a sperm back. She'll multiply it and give you a baby. If you give her a house, she'll multiply it and give you a home. If you give her groceries, she'll give you a meal. If you give her frustration, she'll multiply it. Yeah. So brothers, if you don't like what you are getting, change what you're giving.
Back again for another video. On this topic, we will be talking about women and their ability to multiply. Now, that clip that you just heard is from a popular clip that's been floating around the internet for some time, and it is discussing how women multiply and what they multiply. Now, while I do agree with a lot of the tenets that were mentioned in this sermon that was given by some unknown pastor, I don't know its name, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty easy to find on the internet. I just didn't do my due diligence on it. But nonetheless, here we are talking about what he's discussing. But he is talking about women multiplying what men give them. Now, he says at the end, if you give a woman frustration, she'll multiply it and give you back. And then he goes on to pause. The people clap and they applaud. And then he says that you should be careful what you give a woman because she'll give it back. Once again, I agree, but this is a slight twist of understanding. And what I mean by this is that what he's describing is a woman's vessel. This is what her vessel is meant to do. Her vessel contains her womb and many other things that are tools used to multiply a man's purpose, energy, being, existence. Now, one thing that he did not mention that is very important is that if you give a woman frustration and she multiplies that and gives you a multitude of frustration, then she has a broken womb. Now, I don't know if anybody came to that same conclusion, but that is pretty much what happens. Because let's really think about this. If I have let's say I have something like a toaster, right? And it could hold 2 pieces of toast, right? And I put it on a setting that toasts it just right. It multiplied the effect that I'm trying to get, which is toasted bread. It took a small amount of heat, or excuse me, a small amount of electricity, and then it multiplied that and translated that into toasted bread. Because I had to put it in energy in order to get something out that was different than what I gave it. It is still a composition of what I gave it. I'm really bad with analogies, so walk with me on this one. But anyways, if I put 4 pieces of toast in this 2-piece of toast toaster, it is not going to give me back a multitude of toasted bread. What it's going to give me back is 4 pieces of toast with one side toasted. What does that equate to? That only equates to 2 pieces of toasted bread, because if you think about it, these pieces of bread, when you put them in one at a time, they toast both sides. So now you have 4 toasted sides. So when there are a lot of analogies that I can go with. The point that I'm making here is that when you put something in something that is working properly, you're not going to get back a multitude of a dysfunctional thing. What's another example I can go with that makes more sense? Let's go with a bubblegum machine. You know, the ones that spit out like Skittles and all this crazy nonsense that we used to eat as children. You ever try to put a penny in there? And did you get anything back? No, you didn't get anything back because it wasn't the proper currency, and it does not accept pennies because it's not broken. Now, there were machines that you could put certain things in and it would accept it. It's because that machine was faulty. And it gave you back what you shouldn't have had in the first place, which may have been a good thing. But nonetheless, the point that I'm making here is that if you put 25 cents in this machine that accepts 25 cents, it is going to give you back a multitude of what you paid for. And it's going to be very different, but it is an exchange rate nonetheless. When it comes to broken women, if you give them dysfunction, they will give you a multitude of dysfunction. When it comes to women whose vessels are intact, if you give them dysfunction, they're not going to give you back anything. That's the thing that he didn't say. A woman who is properly functional isn't going to give you back anything. If anything, she's going to walk away from you because you are not giving her a functionality that she understands, that she can multiply, because she's not built to multiply dysfunction. Only women who are dysfunctional themselves can multiply dysfunction, because it's almost like, for instance, having a virgin, right? You can't expect this woman to be a porn star. She's literally never did it with anybody. So to give her something that she is not fitted for and expect that you will get a porn star in return, you're ridiculous. She's going to give you what she knows how to give you. And that is probably a little bit of submission and guidance of how to be sexual. She's not going to give you something crazy. For instance, if you try to do something very strange with a woman who's never done that before, she's probably not going to do it. And what I mean by strange is, I don't know, if a woman who came from the suburbs, who was brought up nice and proper, etc., and who is a very innocent woman, and you asked her to hold a gun for you, she's probably not going to do it because she wasn't built that way. Now, if you dealt with a woman who has done similar things along the lines of vice in her lifetime, she is probably going to do it. You see what I'm saying? A woman who is not introduced to dysfunctions isn't going to multiply those dysfunctions because that is not her functionality. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to explain this the best way I can. Excuse me if I'm losing y'all a little bit on this, but a woman, simply put, like I said, a woman who's never yelled in her life and never has been any sorts of disgruntled or aggressive and all these other things that men don't desire. Even if you're aggressive and disgruntled to her, she's not going to come back around and do that to you because she is not familiarized with that. I hope y'all understand exactly where I'm coming from with this. You can't expect, okay, for instance, let's go with the whole cooking thing. He mentioned it. He said that if you give a woman groceries, she's going to cook you a meal. Well, if she's never cooked a meal before and she's not built to cook a meal before, built to cook a meal. If you give her groceries, I don't think she's going to give you a meal. That's just from observation and common sense. You can't expect a woman who is not built in the way of reproducing certain things to reproduce what she has not been built to reproduce. That's just how it works. So on the other side of that coin, if a woman is reproducing any type of dysfunction, even if that dysfunction is not from you, that means that she's broken a little bit or a lot of bit. Who knows? I'm not here to judge, but I'm just pointing out the objective truths of things. So that little video that's floating around the internet, it's true that women are built to multiply and reproduce what a man gives her. But if a woman is reproducing the wrong things, that means that her vessel is not working correctly. You shouldn't be able to put 10 cents in a 25-cent slot and get something back. You shouldn't be able to put a $50 in a 25-cent slot and get something back. It literally should not fit. So likewise, you shouldn't be able to give a woman dysfunction and she give you a multitude of dysfunction back. Those type of women, they're not for everybody, because she needs some repairs on her vessel. Now, that's another topic. Her vessel can be repaired, but it takes, how can I put it? It takes things that are not of this earth to do it. That's what I'll say. It takes a man in his proper leadership. It takes a woman in her proper submission, because you can have a broken vessel and still submit. It's just that when that part of the record comes by, that scratch, you ain't gonna get that, you're gonna get a couple skips in there, you know what I'm saying? Like the old school tapes when, we used to play them back and it was like a little part that was messed up. You ain't gonna hear the music on that part, you know what I'm saying? But the rest of the music plays good, that's kind of how it is with a woman with a broken vessel. And just because it's broken doesn't mean anything that's broken is repairable. Anything that is destroyed is not. So just because she's broken doesn't mean that she cannot be repaired. But just because she's broken doesn't mean that you're the one that can repair her. So keep that in mind. Like I said, that'll be another topic. So like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. But until next time, this has been the Wolf and Beta Close. May you have a good day and peace be with you.